So thank you to everyone out there for tuning in to this very special virtual event that is a conversation between Sharon Udoh and Hanif Abdurraqib on the occasion of the publication of Hanif's fifth book, a new collection of essays called A Little Devil in America. The book is absolutely brilliant and bold. It's got some incredibly haunting images that really linger, such as a celestial soul train dance line or burying a bird as a teenager. And I hope that you all check it out. The subtitle of the book is Notes in Praise of Black Performance. And a lot of the performances that Hanif talks about in the book are celebrations of one kind or another, whether that be a celebration of life, such as for Aretha Franklin, or when she recorded Amazing Grace, or the Soul Train dance line. And it made me think about Hanif's books and how much of a celebratory event that they really are for us within the community here in Columbus, which Sharon, I feel the same way about your shows. And I feel lucky to have been there to see the release events for two of Hanif's other books. I remember for They Can't Kill Us Until They Kill Us, a night of readings with Eve Ewing and Clint Smith and Sarah Kay. And then for the launch of Go Ahead in the Rain, in addition to Hanif reading, there were performances by Joey H. and Sarab and some others. And those felt like such special moments, you know, an opportunity for all of us to come together as a community and celebrate this really terrific and mammoth achievement of putting a new book out into the world. So while this is a virtual event, I did just want to express the profound thrill that, you know, we all feel as friends and allies, as readers and neighbors and admirers of your work, Hanif, and that we're all very much celebrating tonight with you. And so joining Hanif in conversation is one of my favorite musicians and performers and just general people, Sharon Udoh, who often creates and performs under the name Counterfeit Madison. She is a gay first-generation Nigerian-American composer, pianist, vocalist, educator, speaker, and cultural critic. Her work, whether original or through the lens of Nina Simone, focuses on how humans change over time, the necessity of personal revolution and connection, and emotional curiosity. Her performances are magnetic, dangerous, and kind. They embody the richness of complexity, absurdity, empathy, chaos, and the struggle and freedom of Black and Brown individuals in America and worldwide. And so now Sharon and Hanif are going to have a conversation. I think Hanif's going to read. And then at the end, there'll be the opportunity for you to have any questions that you might have for Hanif answered. And to do that, you'll just be able to type in through the Q&A feature in the webinar. And then, so whenever those questions arise, type them in there. And then at the end, Sharon and Hanif will get to answering some of them. So thanks again for tuning in, and join me, you know, in congratulating Hanif on the new book. And you guys want to pop on here?
No, I will not pop up. I will hide forever.
Oh man, here they are. Thank you guys. That would have been such an elaborate prank.
I'd be like,
All right, I'm gonna get out
Thank you,
of here.
Eric. Thank you so much.
Again.
Yeah.
Lots of love.
Thank you.
What are you like leaving? You're like going home?
No. I'm gonna be right here. I'm just taking my
Jeez.
video off the thing, so no one has to look at me in this
He's like,
garish
bye,
light.
Bruce. I did the intro. I'm done.
Yeah. So everyone enjoy this conversation. I'm really excited. Thanks again for doing this.
Hanif, do you I'm going to start out this by saying, one, the most important thing to ask today is, how are you? Are you okay? Are you hydrated? Are you safe?
Yeah. I'm good. I got the, I stay with it.
Okay. Okay.
Always. I'm all right. I think it's one, I want to say this is the first day ever that I've had a book come out and had good weather. The other four either rained or snowed. And so gratitude for that, but also to be home and to not be like on my way back from somewhere. When Go Ahead and Rain came back, I was like flying home from Utah at 5 a.m. And to get to bask in it. And I mean, I have to say that the response specifically in Columbus has been really heartwarming. The Book Loft did the staff pick wall, and I went in to sign, and they're like, we're gonna sell out of these immediately. And $2 Radio I called to come in and sign, and Brett was like, we don't have any left, really. And so the response in the city has been immense and has meant a whole lot to me, as always. And so that's really propelling me through the day. But it's also been a bit more hectic than most. This has been a normally people care, but normally it's like, I could just lay on my couch for a bit and let the book do the work. But I have so much gratitude.
Did you perhaps think that the reason why you're so hectic is because you're a New York Times best-selling author? Did you ever think of that?
No.
Okay, good. Glad one of us is thinking of that. I have a question I want to start this out with, and I know you're going to later on read, but I think the second most important question, besides how are you, congratulations, is what do you take or think of the new Lil Nas X video?
Yeah, I'm gonna get in some trouble for this. Maybe I haven't seen it yet. I've heard the song.
Okay.
I will say this: it's upsetting people who I think are fucking corny. So I probably like it. I haven't seen it yet.
I am intrigued by these headlines. I just want to prep you for when you do see it. Google says, Lil Nas X explains the lyrics of Montero. Lil Nas X single causes satanic panic. Lil Nas X symbolism explained by historians. Lil Nas X. Groundbreaking leap for queer music. Lil Nas X takes a stripper pole to hell in new Montero video. So you have a lot waiting for you. It's just a gem of.
I like some of the imagery of that. A stripper pole in hell. I wouldn't mind it probably. If I'm down there anyway, got to pass the time somehow.
He said on when he was learning the routine that his legs started bleeding. So
it's real hard athletic work. I don't have we don't have to get into my very brief taking a pole dance class for a day thing, but I don't have the body makeup for it, but it's the level of athleticism is just, to be frank, way beyond my ability in anything. I'm not flexible enough.
The core strength required is
the core strength is just out of the realm of possibility for what I can do at this stage of my life.
Just pelvic strength. Okay. Would you like to take a moment to read anything?
Yeah. So I'm gonna say something real quick. Sharon, you probably don't remember this, but remember the end of Flyover Fest in the Black Box? Was it 2018? Where
yes,
I was headliner. I read an early draft of this and sat down next to you.
You did,
and put my arm around my
shoulder.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember, and I read it and I started crying.
That is why I asked. I was like, Sharon is pivotal. So here's what I'm gonna do though. Before I read something of mine, I'd like to read something of someone else's. Okay. I kind of got into this habit last book tour where to express gratitude for other folks' work, I've been reading other stuff to kick people off. And so I'm going to read a short poem from this book called All Heathens by Marianne Chan. And this poem is called In Defense of Karaoke, and I love it so, so, so much. In defense of karaoke. But the microphone was always a cradle. Elvis and Patsy Cline, Sinatra, Nat King Cole, Sharon Cuneta, Lee Salonga. My God, your grandfather's throat was the moon. And when at the meat market, the man shaves a pig's face and croons, I just want your extra time and your kiss, along with the television behind him, the body reverberates, the body echoes, aches. The lungs are your mother's kitchen where she sings Usahai, Osai, lyrics unspooled past your school, past the vast pool of motorbikes, jeepneys, past the oranges, past the barefootedness, into your husband, into your son, into America, atop Lake Michigan, around which you drive in your car and trees scroll past fast, akin to the lyrics of your song, because you always sing, I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it, because you always are, and you always can't, you always will yourself to life when you have no choice or voice, unravel into the microphone and listen to yourself, double, miss your mother, father, brother, kiss their photographs, kiss America, learn to love it until you learn the lyrics by heart. That is Marianne Chance, All Heathens. So check it out. I'm gonna do, I wanna preface really quickly that I know I see some folks in here who are from Columbus and who maybe remember this night that I'm gonna open with reading about. And, you know, like a lot of people personally, without passing judgment on where anyone else is at in this journey, I've divested from Michael Jackson a while ago. You know, I don't really listen to Michael Jackson or fuck Michael Jackson anymore. But that wasn't the case for me when he passed. You know, when he passed, I was still very much feeling big feelings about his passing. And so I write about him and his death in the book through the lens of his passing. And I feel like if you were in Columbus at a certain time, you remember the night of Michael Jackson's passing here. You remember going to Hamptons on King in like that shitty basement dance party. And so I'm going to read from a chapter about Aretha Franklin, but it begins with a memory that is a very Columbus memory, and it felt appropriate to read here. In Columbus, there is the bar called Hamptons on King, and it is largely unspectacular as far as bars go. I feel bad leading with that. Shout out to Hamptons on King. Except for its basement. The basement of Hamptons on King is a cave. It is one of those spaces that almost certainly should not hold people within it, and yet it does. There are no windows or ventilation, just space and opportunity should a DJ feel compelled to bring the tables out for a night of revelry. And on the night of Michael Jackson's death, a handful of DJs from Columbus dragged their equipment into the basement of Hamptons on King, and the bar called off every other purpose it served for one evening and told the city to come dance in the name of the King of Pop, work week schedule be damned. And so we did. In the basement of Hamptons on King on the night Michael Jackson died, there wasn't enough space for the bodies to do anything except dance with the dance partner claustrophobia chose for them. And sometimes that was the wall. And sometimes you couldn't lift your arm up to wipe your sweat. And so sometimes you shook your sweat off onto whoever was in front of you or behind you. And that person didn't mind, because I think what Michael meant when he's saying, don't stop till you get enough, is that a river must be built out of what the dancing can offer, so that we might float once again off grief's island. And I know that I have come again to this specific feeling, one that you might know and one that you might have enjoyed at the opening or closing of some summer of unbearable heat. There is something about the way the night air purses its lips and blows a gentle respite over damp skin that does it for me. I want that feeling of walking out of a hot, sweat-drenched dance party and into a cool night bottled and sold. The first few minutes of the breeze hitting you, carrying you to a cooler freedom. In Ohio, the humidity has teeth, but once it subsides, the night air is a blessing. In the early hours of the day after Michael Jackson died, my friends and I stumbled out of the basement on Hamptons on King at 2:30 in the morning and dragged ourselves home, singing along to the cars and their open windows, blaring Michael's old hits. This is how one should be laid to rest, I thought, loud and with memories of their voice making the sky tremble. It took 8 full hours, and a band of preachers and their many armed gospels, and singers slipping out of their shoes before shaking the church walls down, and old friends pacing through old slow memories, and Cicely Tyson's hat. Sorry, I keep forgetting that Cicely Tyson's not with us anymore. And Cicely Tyson's hat casting a wide shadow over her eyes while she read a repurposed poem and showed she could still hold a room in her steady palm. Cicely, our forever godmother. who was helped off the stage by 3 men so a viewer might do away with the lie of her defying time. It took dancing in the aisles of a church and men hollering affirming cries, a go ahead or a don't stop now when a speaker caught a good groove. It took even the non-preachers becoming preachers, anything spilling from a mouth in service of the moment becoming gospel. It took all of this, but Miss Aretha Franklin finally made it home on a Friday evening as I watched the service live in a hotel room in Atlanta. Other viewers spent a full workday and then some, glued to their computer monitors or sneaking sips of television glances to see what might come next. I fought back tears when former NBA player Isaiah Thomas told stories of how Aretha helped raise him into a better man than he was. And I yawned when Clive Davis lovingly droned on about the mechanics of Aretha singing and cringed during a sprawling 50-minute elegy by Pastor Jasper Williams Jr. that spanned everything from Black on Black crime to the ways single mothers were failing to raise their Black sons, spoken while Aretha Franklin, a single black mother of 4 Black boys, rested right before him. But when it was all said and done, when all the preaching had been preached and almost all the songs had been worn down to echoes and every memory had been rebuilt wide enough for every listener to crawl into, there was Stevie Wonder, Aretha's dear old friend, singing one last tune before he was carried out of the church and on to her final resting place. And in those last swelling moments of Aretha's homegoing, I thought about what it is to send someone home properly, how even that, when done right, can be a performance on par with a person's living. The Portuguese soccer player Eusebio was given a towering gold casket that was then carried in circles around the Estadio da Luz in Portugal, where he played for years. Michael Jackson's casket was plated with 14-karat gold and lined with velvet for a 3-hour ceremony that filled the Staples Center and left the crowd outside waiting. In March 1827, tens of thousands of people marched in the streets of Vienna bearing torches in the name of Ludwig van Beethoven. As Aretha's body and services were being prepared, John McCain's casket traversed the country he once served, having a funeral in Arizona and then another in Washington, D.C. And the joke many Black people made on the internet as Aretha's service dragged into its 5th and then 6th and then 7th hour was that we all expected this, as some tuned out and tuned back in only to see the ceremony still going on, as some scanned the pre-printed funeral agenda to see that nearly every guest speaker and performer had gone well over their allotted time. There were some who kicked back and said, of course. I suppose we should have expected a long drawn-out affair, although deep down, I think many of us knew that this number of hours was a bit more than even our most extravagant celebrations. But at this point in my life, I have attended far more non-Islamic homegoings than Islamic ones, so I'm no longer shocked by how time can tick away in honor of someone's living, how in the moment, it all feels like the least one can do to honor another. But even the most seasoned of my kinfolk knew Aretha's homegoing was equal parts too much and somehow still not enough, too long and too full of people with too much to say, but still, it kept her with us. Some of the reverends dozed off and some of the church women's heads leaned all the way back in their pews while their mouths hung open in the 8th hour, and some of the people left early, and so many of the people clapped their hands together with joy and said, look at what we can do. In the late summer of 2018, an orca whale swam around the Pacific Ocean, carrying the corpse of her dead calf under her fin. The calf had died a few hours after its birth. The orca whale was first spotted attempting to push the calf towards the edge of the Pacific Ocean between the United States and Canada before deciding to just carry the calf with her, which she did for over 2 weeks. Observers and scientists called it a tour of grief. The length of mourning was, to that point, unprecedented. It was always a question of letting go. If the whale let her calf go, it would sink to the bottom of the ocean and become a memory. Once, I had a conversation with a poet who also lost their mother. As we charted out our shared grief, the poet told me something they had learned from another poet. Well, we have 2 mothers, they began to tell me. The one we keep with us in our hearts and the corpse we cannot put down. There is the putting down of the metaphorical corpse, and then there is the carrying of the physical. But the hesitation to part with both comes from a similar place. A mother who has lost a child carries with her not only the corpse of that child, but the potential for what the life could have been. I mourn both the actual body and the potential for the whole person lesson it held, how much better my time in the world could have been spent with all of the people once living, spent with all of the once living people I've loved, still here, the drawn out funeral, or the pictures on the wall, or the remembrances yelled into a night sky are all a part of that carrying. It is all fighting for the same message, holding on to the memory of someone with two hands and saying, I refuse to let you sink. Thank you.
There you go, folks. Yes, without a question, this book is fire.
Thanks,
that
Sharon.
is just one section of it. I do not enjoy reading. I am a slow reader. And your book, They Can't Kill Us Till They Kill Us, got me back into reading, and I gobbled this book right up, folks. You are going to want to get your hands on a copy. Let's dive into the book a little bit and then into some other things. Yeah, this book's getting great reviews. My favorite one is the one on the back of the book by Jacqueline Woodson, who says this book should be a must read. I think that you have a particularly great way of talking about the Black experience in America that I think could do a better job than some other books about race out there. Okay, I'm gonna stop there and keep going.
Wow, yeah.
I'm just gonna.
I have no comment on that back half, but can I? No comment at all on the back half. I
have a lot of them, but I'm not gonna say them.
Can I? Do you know? Can I share a fun fact about Jacqueline Woodson?
Yes.
You know where she's from?
No. Is she Ohio?
She's one of ours. She's from Columbus. She's from the east side of Columbus. Though, to be fair to her, I think that she perhaps identifies as a non-Ohioan, like very much a Brooklyn person. But
yeah, she New Yorker.
Yeah, but yeah. There's like where you're born and where you're from. Those are different, but born very much, like, yeah. I'm not even the most notable writer from born in my own neighborhood, let alone.
Shut up. Anyway, first question. I have some loaded questions for you. You're gonna regret this. Okay. View. A story can be erased if you don't tell it. And I'm going to add to what she said. Not only can it be erased, but someone else can tell their different and incorrect version of your story. And I think that I'm seeing that a lot when we're coming to term, like when Americans are talking about our history. So when you started writing these stories about your life and the lives of Black folks, I know what this book is doing to me, but can you, and my heart and my participation in collective memory, but what did you set out to do with this book?
I think all of this in terms of like memory and retelling histories can boil down to a very specific point that I hit when working on the book. So there's a piece in the book about magical Negroes, the magical Negro trope, which I wish I would have written after I watched, what was that bullshit chess show? Oh, Queen's Gambit, which wasn't a bullshit show, but the Queen's Gambit, it was wild to me because
I haven't watched it yet.
You probably pass on it. Though I think a lot of people disagree, but it dawned on me that like America had no common. So many people reviewed that show and talked about how stunning it was, but no one mentioned that there's a glaring large magical Negro trope at the literal magical Negro trope. Like some magical Negro tropes are just like Dave Chappelle in fucking You've Got Mail. Yeah, and some magical Negro tropes are like, oh, this Negro is literally magic. Like, Michael Clark Duncan All-Stars, may he rest in peace. But it dawned on me that like there's just no concept of how that trope works. But in that magical Negro piece, there's a bit on Ellen Armstrong, who's the first Black woman magician, the headliner on a show in the States. And I crawled myself to Ellen Armstrong because at the time where the phrase Black girl magic was being kind of commodified and reshaped, there was an essay that came out that I appreciated, but also that maybe took it too literally, where it's like, well, Black women aren't literal magic. And I was like, but I bet there was a Black woman who was a magician back in the day on some shit. And so I fell down this rabbit hole of finding Ellen Armstrong, and I promise I'm going to get to the answer. But the Ellen Armstrong, what I've called the Ellen Armstrong dilemma, really fucked with me in working on this book, because the work that it took for me to find out just very basic things about her life and history.
Yeah.
And this woman was doing miraculous things.
Boy,
for Black people, was doing like having shows in churches along the Southern coast that were just like renewing the lives of Black people. And there was so little in an archive about her. A funny story that's true is that like I was cold calling magic historians. I got to a point where I was like, I'm just going to call which magic historians are real. Called them and was like, do you know anything about Ellen Armstrong? What can you tell me? And it dawned on me that there's a gap in our histories because of what stories are deemed as important.
Yes.
Therefore,
yes.
There's like a gap in our history deemed because of what stories are deemed as retellable.
Yes.
And so I think the Ellen Armstrong thing really like jarred me, and that came like in the early process of writing this book, whereas like I think this is going to require more out of me than what I thought it would. Not that I'm like the holder of these stories, but and definitely not even the best person to tell them, but I'm so interested in hearing them.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like I want the kernels of them to exist in the world as best as I can.
I just, Black stories are important. End of story. You also talk in this book a lot about sight and vision and visibility. Please sit there, Hanif, while I read to you some of my favorite quotes from your book. Okay. A people cannot only see themselves suffering, lest they become themselves only worthy of pain, or only celebrated when that pain is overcome. Cornelius had a vision for Black people that was about movement on their own time, for their own purpose, and not in response to what a country might do for and to them. Another one, there are people you don't even need to see to know that they are one with rhythm. Another one, maybe the truest Black superpower is the ability to see through the BS. Another one, DJ
Wait, did
Khaled.
I say BS? Did I write BS in the book?
No, I'm saying
okay.
Because
I wouldn't do that.
I'm trying to limit the amount of cursing that I do, because I don't want every other word to become cursing, because it will. Another one, DJ Khaled. There are moments when I question what I'm taking in with my eyes and ears, and if it is vibrating on the same pitch as what everyone else is taking in with their eyes. My God. Two more, just suffer through this, Hanif. Just deal with it. I tell my friend when I'm done writing poems about Black people being killed, and he asks if I think that I'll stop them from dying. At a suburban farmer's market, the white fruit vendor looks past the Black woman, oh my God, so many times, in line, and asks the white guest behind her what she's interested in. I passed the storefront on the walk back to my car, and the store selling T-shirts with Black Girl Magic flourishing across them, with no one working in the store, though no one working in the store is Black. Last one, I was in Spokane, Washington once. Black people were so invisible that everyone else would attempt to walk straight through us. Hanif Muhammad Abdurraqib. Here's a crazy loaded question. What do you wish Americans would start to see and remember?
I mean, I'm so disinterested generally in the American project that I don't really, I have such a limited time here.
Yeah.
And I just cannot I can no longer at least concern myself with the movements of American machinery because it has no real interest in my,
Yes.
And also like so much of America is precedented on its ability to forget things rapidly,
Right.
And so like, even if
I'm
I
just
had
so shook.
if I had ambitions, like I wouldn't be able to keep up. I wouldn't be able to keep up with the pace at which America almost runs on a type of forgetting that is like too torrential of a pace for me to even keep up with. Like here, I don't know, I mean, like this is the lowest hanging fruit possible, but I'm gonna do it because I'm gonna do it. But Mayor Ginther that on January 6th was up there on these podiums talking about like, this is not who we are, this is not who we are. It's like, I don't know, man, it's definitely who we were like a couple weeks ago, or but because like reinforcing these statements of we're better than this,
yes,
is comforting, I think, to some people, because it reassures people of the ease of living that doesn't require taking inventory of violence.
Yeah.
Because, and that's a hard thing. Like, it's a hard thing to take inventory of harm in any capacity. Like, I'm not divorcing myself from that, to take inventory of harm I've done.
I don't know, man. We do it. We seem to do it like easily with other stuff.
Well, it's easy to do with other stuff. Yeah, of course I can take inventory of some harm someone else. Like, obviously, I can take inventory of harm someone else has done. But like, if I sit and be honest with myself and say, well, there's some things, I cannot live a long enough life to gain forgiveness for everything I've done.
Mm-hmm.
And I certainly cannot live a long enough life to gain absolution for all the harm I put into the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be honest about that is difficult. And it's easier for me to be like, well, America's a mess, than it is for me to be like, I'm gonna, I have to reckon with the fact that just by virtue of living over 3 decades, I've done irreversible harm, undoubtedly.
Yeah.
And not all of that is like treacherous or like, I'm not talking about like large scale abusive harms. I'm talking about just like being a human on the planet.
Human being and making mistakes.
Yeah.
Since we are talking about our past, I'm going to take this moment to revisit your past with you in a segment I call Let's Hang Out with Hanif's Instagram. Okay. I hope the audience can see my screen. Can you see the screen?
I can see the screen.
Okay. Would you like to tell me about this picture?
Yeah. Is there a joke waiting at the end of this? Like, are you gonna make fun of my outfit? Or
No. I just showed it because I saw the date on it, and I was wondering what you were thinking on that date about your future.
It's wild. So this is I'm so uncomfortable being confronted with my own image. So I'm doing my best.
Better wait, buddy.
This is the last public reading that I did. It was last year, and it was at a point where like COVID felt treacherous. Was certainly not as treacherous as it became in like a few days after this. Mm-hmm. And this is at On Air Fest last year in Brooklyn, which On Air Fest is happening virtually this year. And I'm talking to, I forget, they would kill me if they knew that I forgot who I was talking to. I forgot who I'm talking to at On Air Fest. Don't tell anyone. But this is at On Air Fest in Brooklyn.
I can tell you. You're talking to.
Oh no, it's not on the chalkboard. It's not on the chalkboard.
Okay, never mind then.
It's all good. Yeah, that was at On Air Fest Brooklyn last year. The last public reading I did, this is a fun game. I like this already. Which was wild because I felt so. I'm someone who feels anxious all the time and am kind of haunted by a cloud of anxiety. But I was also teaching in Iowa at that point, and. And like, I feel like people in Columbus know this. And I was like going through the house purchasing process. And so there's this real intense cloud of like uncertainty. But it was good. I read the last thing I read in public. That is a picture of me reading a slightly earlier draft of a piece of Little Devil in America about Raekwon and Ghostface.
Okay. You look beautiful in it. No jokes. Tell us about this project.
6805, I'll try to condense it because it's hard to explain, but 6805 is kind of a hub for music playlists spanning the years 1968 to 2005, but also it's a hub for videos. The years are broken up, so there's videos for each year and playlists for years in progress and some out, and then there's magazine covers, but also it is kind of a site for writing where I pay people to write about albums they love. Sharon, you're writing a thing for
I am
6805. I'm very
I've
excited.
never written about an album before, so I'm really excited to try, and I'm really excited to have New York Times bestselling author Hanif Abdurraqib to read my joint. So
I'm excited. I'm excited to read it.
Excited. Okay. Tell us about this animal.
That is Wendy, my sweet, sweet girl. That was a really rough day for her. She had, she's wearing her new collar in that photo, which she still has now, but she had a really bad anxiety day and she tore off her collar. And I'll never forget it because she like had a dog anxiety attack and tore off her collar and then like put it in her mouth and like brought it to me like, I need a new one of these. I was just like sitting on the couch and she comes in with her collar in her mouth and like drops it at my feet. And so I had to go to the store and get her a new collar, and that was kind of the aftermath of that. And Wendy is, she's so much better now. I mean, we get a little bit better day by day with our shared anxiety.
Yeah.
But she's sweet. She is,
how old is she?
She's going to be 5 in 2 months. And I've had her since the summer of 2019. And she was so great this winter. To just have her around and I don't know.
Yeah, she's I mean, I think I read in some of your photos that she's gotten better about being in pictures, and she is like photogenic.
She is. She's gotten so used to me too. I think we are each other's. And she's very I worry about people coming into my house in the coming months or whenever it might be, because she's gotten so used to me that she's very loving towards other people, but a little bit skeptical. She really wants to check you out before she.
Yeah, that's good. She's protective. I don't know what's next. Oh, I do know what's next. How often do you wear this? And
never now. But oh gosh.
Is it comfy? Is it comfortable or is it hot? It look hot.
No, it's comfortable. It's on my couch, but I never really wear it because I don't know. My days are long, and I don't have time to slip into the. I don't have time to slip into the onesie. When I get on the couch, I'm just like, I'm ready for the day to end. So I can't. And to be clear, I'm wearing clothes underneath that. I'm not like stripping down to the underwear.
Matter. The look is fantastic.
I feel like it's not to be too intimate, but we're friends. We can talk. I feel like this would not be a good bare chest thing. Like bare chest on that fabric, not ideal.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Thank you for not mentioning my elaborate bobblehead case, which I will say, since this is a Columbus event, that bobblehead safe is a piece of Columbus history because that is the safe that was in Soul Classics for years and years and years.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, the Soul Classic sticker is like, I'm pointing like people can see me pointing. But the Soul Classic sticker is like right behind the Babe Ruth pennant. And they like hit me up, or they were like, we're getting rid of the safe, and they hit me up, and I was like, I'll come through and take the safe. And getting that safe out of Soul Classics and into my home was a nightmare, but it's a little piece of Columbus history.
And it's worth it for that. The lean is perfect. It's perfect. What is next? Oh, this is one of your top 5 favorite pictures.
That's such a great photo.
Yeah, it is a great photo.
I actually was not emotionally prepared to see this photo.
I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry.
Oh, that is one of my favorite photos of all time. This is so every year, me and Sarah Kay and Clint Smith and Anis Mojgani do a reading together. And this was 2018, maybe 2019, in Brooklyn. And it and we do this thing where we rotate. This is so great, Sharon. Thank you for doing this. This is so wonderful in a way. And we rotate through sets, and I had to follow. It's always tough when I have to follow Sarah because I hope Sarah's not here. I hope Sarah's not like in the room here. But Sarah, I feel like whenever we do these readings, like most of the people who come out are big Sarah Kay fans. And then there's another contingent of like Clint fans. And then there's another contingent of Anise fans. And then there's like 7 to 10 emo kids, like seven to 10 like emo kids of color who are there for me. You know what I mean? And so I think in this, what happened here was I was making a joke about having to follow Sarah, and then the joke didn't land. Like the joke just completely tanked, and that's why my face looks like that. And they're laughing.
The
Sarah,
joy
Clint, and Anise
in this
like,
picture is so palpable. Like in this day and age when like I look at that photo, I'm like, man, y'all were close to each other, but like
so close to each other.
Haven't, yeah, but yeah, that's a beautiful photo. I agree with you. Now about this. Now you have 2 different covers, and I don't know, I don't write books, so tell me about the like how does that decision-making process between choosing a UK cover and an American cover, and like, do you have control, or is that them?
Yeah, I probably had too much control, as I feel like the Random House folks will maybe attest to with the American cover. At least probably had too much control. I mean, I take my book covers from the very first book I've ever put out. I take the book cover very seriously. Mm-hmm. And, the only book cover that has ever gotten right in one attempt was They Can't Kill Us. Shout out to Eliza Obanoff. I gave Eric and Eliza this like kind of haphazard idea of what I wanted. And I think Eliza just like in one swing mocked up the wolf and the chain on the cover. And that was it. But yeah, I mean, the American cover took a lot. We were going back and forth. There was this photo of Josephine Baker that I loved so much that was very close to being the cover. And at the very last minute, I pulled back and pulled away from it. And then there was another photo that I forgot that was also almost a cover. And then we pulled away from that. And I found this photo of these Lindy Hop aerials. And it's Leon James and Willa Mae Ricker dancing. And from it was in a Life magazine spread in 1943. And what I really wanted was to capture a photo of Black people in the throes of something so miraculous that even they could not believe it was happening.
Yeah.
Willa Mae Ricker's face in this photo is so amazing.
I'm covered, because, I just get covered in goosebumps just seeing the exhilaration.
The Lindy Hop aerials are not easy. The Lindy Hop aerials are challenging. And they were figuring it out in real time. And the look on her face is like, yo, I cannot believe we're doing this. And that's what I wanted. Like, I wanted to capture that. And then we had to tinker with the design and the font. So shout out to the design team at Random House. The UK one was a lot easier. They were just like, do you like Lorna Simpson? And I was like, hell yeah, I like Lorna Simpson. They're like, cool. I mean, like, fuck you mean, do I like Lorna Simpson? And so that's how we ended up with that.
Yeah, those are beautiful. What's next? Oh, probably one of my favorite ones in this set of pictures is this. Yeah. So I want this to be like countrywide. So like, you mean to tell me that these freshmen have to read your book now?
Unfortunately, a shame, isn't it?
No. Listen, I'm at work, I'm at my school, and I had a conversation with, I've had conversations with at least 2 out of the 4 English teachers about like having this book that you just wrote be like high school material. I'm really excited about this, and I want this to continue for you. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Ashe.
I will say the CCAD thing is so wild because there are so many CCAD parties that I was at and like almost got my friend. Shout out to David Mers, who is one of my oldest friends in the world, who graduated from CCAD, and therefore like I was at CCAD parties all the time, and we almost got him like kicked out of his apartment for you know what I mean? Like,
was rowdy.
We were like really having parties at CCAD all the time, like for real. And so it was wild when they were like, I mean, I don't know how to say this generously, but I'm amazed by how wonderful the city has been, because I think so many people in this city have seen my very many selves, you know, the many lives I've lived to get to the life I have now. And even despite that, they're still really kind, you know. So
Columbus does have a good way of letting you like relive or reinvent. That's really merciful. I really do love that.
Because I was a fool for real, and now all those freshmen got to read my book. So
I was a fool like last year. Listen, what is next? Oh, tell us about this photo.
That was from this summer during the uprisings, and at one point there was a march through Upper Arlington, and I mean, people in Columbus just not, you know, I say Upper Arlington, you already know. And at one point, and this wasn't a small march, this is like a lot of people. And we stopped at this golf course, and the wildest thing was just, though not surprising, but still wild to kind of just like watch people continue to play golf.
Yeah.
And just like not even acknowledge the literal mass of people shutting down a street.
Yeah. Not the same vibration, man.
Yeah. I'm not too bothered by it. And like a lot of Black folks who kind of came up in the like I'm from out east for real. And so I have a tenuous relationship with the suburbs largely, except like low key, I love downtown Worthington. I can't even front. I love, you know what I mean? Like the farmer's market is incredible. I used to be in Lucky's, you know what I mean? Like I love downtown Worthington.
Like, you just like sit on those benches and like,
I rock with it. I can't even lie. I can't hold y'all. I love downtown Worthington. Like I don't want to live there.
You know what?
I'd be going. I don't want to live like me and my homie Mia be walking to the Dairy Queen. You know, it's just like that's my spot.
Yeah.
I can't front. I can't be all like I don't, you know, I have a complicated relationship with the suburbs. Listen, I be in downtown Worthington for real. So but Upper Arlington is not one of the suburbs I love.
You're just like no.
Yeah.
I have a few more images. I'm gonna skip one and go to this one. I made a collage.
Oh no.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did, sir. I made a collage of the many things that you have baked that have made me so hungry. Tell us about your relationship with baking and like where you are with that. And how I can eat some of these.
Well, not to go, gosh, look at my beard in that top right when I really was in a rough way. I was like no barber for 9 months type shit. It's wild. And like no cutting, no trimming my beard, none of that. I don't bake as much anymore because we don't have time to go into this now, Sharon, but I've turned over a new leaf. I was talking to my homie Megan, another one of my oldest friends in the world, this weekend about how I just eat a lot of vegetables now and how my life is my life is different.
Okay.
And so I don't bake as much. I still am gonna bake, but it was a thing where I live, it's just like me in my house with my dog. And she can't eat the stuff I bake. And I can only give away so many treats to other people. And it was hitting a point where I was like eating too much cake, which is a thing. I know people are like, maybe it's not a thing. I was eating too much cake. And so now I'm just, I'm eating broccoli. I'm opening my life up to new fruits. I had plums. I'm obsessed with plums. I had plums like for the first time, maybe a few weeks ago. And now I can't get enough of them. Which is like, what's funny is, of course, there's that famous William Carlos Williams poem about like eating someone's plums in the icebox or whatever. And I used to clown that poem, but honestly, now that I've had some plums, I think bro might have had a point. You know what I mean? Like if I'm over a friend's house and I see some plums in the icebox, I'm eating them. I'll leave a note or whatever, but I'm eating them for real. And so
I enjoy plums. I'm a vegetable gal myself. Not as much of a fruit gal, but in other, so we know that you are a great baker. We know that you are a great writer. We also know that you upholster things.
Gosh.
Tell us about this great find you got.
I got this chair for, I feel like this is almost, back in, I'm going to detour really quickly, but I used to do like, there were like charities in town that would do like speed dating fundraisers, and they would rarely have enough like men, and so I would sometimes help out and sit in on them. And I feel like this is just where it's like he bakes, he upholsters, he yeah, I got this chair for like $20, and the like footstool thing was already done, but the chair, the fabric was like mostly off of it. And at the place I got it, they were kind of like, if you can take it, but you have to like do the work yourself. And so I reupholstered this chair with the help of a lot of YouTube videos. There's a great upholsterer. There's a great upholsterer, a Black woman named Nicole Crowder, who also like, I got a meditation pillow from her because I meditate now. And I watched a bunch of her videos and just like day by day, literal hour by hour reupholsters. It took me forever. Like, I can't front. This did not happen it took a long ass time because I didn't know what I was doing. But it was fun. It was cool to, in the fall of the pandemic, do something. The thing with like baking and upholstering and all that is that something happens to my brain when I have a book coming out where, and I know that Aldia was still kind of coming out months later, but where I have to remind myself that writing is not only not all that I'm good at, but like that it's okay for me to fail. It's okay for me to fail at very low stakes things.
Yes. Yeah.
And I need to kind of be reminded of the comforts of failure. And so I took on a lot of projects that I could have failed at and been fine with. And that was fun. And I cut my hands a lot, or like, my fingers at the end of this, my notoriously soft hands were a little bit rougher after enduring upholstering.
I'm sorry, but it was worth it. This room and that Nina Simone poster. I'm going to skip one and go to this one.
Wait, why'd you skip that one? Why'd you skip that other one?
Well, because I don't want to take up too much time and someone's in.
Okay. Yeah.
We can go back to this one. The question of the day is
a lot on my face.
Well, the question I was going to ask with this one is, you recently also turned to puzzle making. Someone gave you this amazing cake stand. Have you gone back to baking? But you already kind of answered that question that you're on that.
I have put some stuff on my cake stand though. I have baked something on my cake stand, and I'm also bad at puzzles. I'm not very good. I have a Prince puzzle on my table that I've been trying to finish for the past 5 months, and it's going poorly. I actually need someone to help me with it. So, whenever people get vaccinated, come through and help me with this puzzle.
I'm also horrible at puzzles. I will not be helping you. This shirt, you said, not to be morbid, but you said that you might explore the idea of being buried in this shirt. I would like to know if this is still the one.
Yeah, shout out to Online Ceramics who made that shirt. A couple like Ohioans too, Online Ceramics. That's the one for now.
Okay.
For me, I personally, maybe by the time I'm buried, they can change people's outfits every few weeks, because I wouldn't mind having a rotating, rotating collection of fits in the grave.
Yeah, this is a great choice. And lastly, during on this are listed your tour dates. During May to July, you will be sleeping featuring your bed. Will you actually be sleeping most of that time, or are you a workaholic and are you lying?
I think there are so many people in my life who want to hold me accountable to rest, and I want to honor that, because left to my own devices, I'm not really a workaholic. I think I just kind of chase. What's wild is like in the 2019, Go Ahead in the Rain came out the same week that the final copy of the final draft of Fortune for Your Disaster was due, and I got shingles and had to be laid up because I was so stressed out. And so
you got shingles. I'm so
sorry. It was awful.
Yeah, I've had shingles.
It's not a good time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
but I had to reprioritize my relationship with work and productivity. And so, I say tongue in cheek that I'm gonna be sleeping for months, but really, I've kind of reprioritized how I spend my days. Now, this past month has not been that, because this past month has been bringing a book into a world at a pace that is very different from what I've been used to in my life before this. But I think that I hope to have set some good safeguards in place for, being a little better to myself in the coming months.
Thank you for playing that ridiculous game of Let's Explore Your Instagram with me. Because I'm a timely person, I don't want this to go past 8:30. We do have some questions, but I do want to ask you more of my questions because I'm selfish. I also want to play another game with you later on called Would You Rather. It's truly stupid. Okay. What other okay. Are you ready for me to read more of you to yourself? Okay. You talk a lot about this is fun. You talk a lot about in your book, coming back to the book, because that's what this is about navigating Blackness in America and proving Blackness, which I really appreciated reading. I've had a lot of trouble in my life with proving my Blackness, whether it's proving you're not too white by dressing white, talking white, acting white. And then you talk about in terms of Whitney Houston, which I love. Here are some of your quotes. Ready? Let's go. I first learned to code switch through musical movements of my people and done among my people in this way. It didn't feel like a shameful burden. It felt like a generosity. Yes. A celebration of the many modes we could all fit into. Yes. The fundamental flaw, of course, is in this, proving to the public that someone did not deserve to die or did not deserve the violence that chased him down. Another one, Blackness or proximity to Blackness is America's favorite balm for a painful conscience. Last one, the problem is that there's no way to prove oneself Black enough for every type of Black identity in the States, let alone the world. This was just really, really great for me to read.
Thank you,
Hanif. Like it is what was a gift to my soul. I tried. I don't know about your experience specifically. I don't know if. Yeah, you do know. I was raised by a Nigerian person, and I remember one day I tried to come into my house, and I tried to say "ain't" in a sentence to my dad. And the wrath that came from his eyeballs into my eyeballs, he was so mad. He was just like, do not ever, he was like, Sharon, I'll say it in my dad's voice. Sharon, do not ever use that bush English in my house. And bush is kind of like, in Nigeria, it's kind of like ghetto, like uncivilized.
Right.
Yeah. So here's another loaded question. Ready? What are some of the biggest ways that your expressions of Blackness has changed in the last few years?
Well, I mean, I think that for me, since maybe my late teenage years, it just becomes increasingly less concerned with like capital A acceptance, because then it's the question of like, to whom am I looking for to be accepted? And I think it's just, I'm very as I write in the book, I'm very fortunate that I grew up in a place perhaps in an era where the Black folks around me were accepting and celebrating their multitudinous natures. And so like, I write about in the book, like I never got made fun of for listening to punk or whatever, because the people who put me on to punk were Black. The people who put me on to like the alternative music boom of the 90s were Black kids or my Black older siblings. And so I did not know that a world existed where we could not contain multitudes, and not only contain them, but actually perform them in a way that was celebratory.
Yes.
Because it's one thing to be like, well, I'm Black and I love all this stuff, but it's another thing to be exuberant and excited about it. and not act as though that excitement makes us different or outliers or special. Like, like I listened to one Weezer song and now I'm not like the other Blacks, that kind of thing.
Oh no!
But, yeah,
I like this song.
But I think like there's some fortune in that for me. That's how I grew up, and that's what that was kind of put on me. And so I don't ever think that there are as many ways to be Black as there are Black people, and
yes, hallelujah. Oh my God.
That's just kind of the mode I've always operated in, with a lot of gratitude too.
Yeah.
Because it means that I can never stop learning how to better love both myself and my people.
Yes. Oh, you're a gift to me, Hanif. Last question before I make you play my dumb game. You talk a lot about partnering in this book, whether it's during marathon dancing or engaging in activity with your partner, such as reading or shaving on the
I can't wait to see where this is going.
Or the performance of partnership on Soul Train, or falling into someone's arms at a punk show, or a dance floor in a Hamptons basement. The question is, how has your sense of partnership and community changed or stayed the same with your increasing success, sir? And how are you able to be faithful as you are to Columbus and Ohio while gaining global recognition? And how do you stay grounded?
Oh, because I'm here. That's the easiest answer to the last part, at least, is I stay grounded because I'm here, and because the people who have known me here for a long time know I'm not really shit, and because I'm not like floating out perhaps in the world where I feel like I'm in competition with other people. Recognition is of very little concern to me. I'm thankful. I have so much gratitude for the fact that I can do the work I love in the city I love, in a city a city I learned to be an artist in too, and that I did not that I didn't like take the tools from and then go elsewhere to do art, to do my art. I came up at like writer's block poetry night and writing wrongs, and like I came up at the Nest, and I came up like all these things. I carry them with me. I came up doing readings at the Iuka House, and I know you remember those type shits.
Yes, I do remember. That's
right. That's all these things are part of my community, and like these people know me. I've like name dropped some of my friends in here, but like truthfully, like when I go to see my pal Megan, or when I talk to my pal Stephanie or Madison or Mia or Sam, or like my old friends, they don't really like I am lucky to be to them who I've always been.
Yeah.
Like with the understanding that my life is perhaps different now. There's like different machinery to my life. Yeah. But I am to these people who I've always been. So there's not really an interest in upholding this hierarchy of fame or success, because those things are malleable and fleeting.
Yeah.
And if I were doing something that no one cared about, I am in a city that has been so generous to me.
Yeah.
And I am someone who is not, I've been unhoused in this city. I've lived like a sometimes difficult life in this city. And that affection that has been born out of frustration and out of rage and out of understanding inequities is the machinery that keeps me going along. Now, I also just know that the way I'm loved here is unlike anywhere else. And I don't, and again, because so many people saw me coming up working, like actually working. People saw me at open mic nights. People came to my first ever poetry features. And because I've taken so much from this city to make myself the artist that I am, I feel almost required to be present in a way that returns something to it, because I would like my relationship with the city to be an exchange.
Yeah, okay.
And not just something I benefit from.
Wow.
But I also,
wise. He wise.
Yeah, I love it. I did when I did some photos, I don't like to have my picture taken a lot, but Maddie McGarvey and we did photos at like the school, like the park I grew up near, Scottwood Elementary, where I played basketball as a kid. And like not going back there, like I haven't been there in a while, but kind of being immersed in that space reminded me what a privilege it is to be from a place and not have a wholly traumatic relationship with the place you're from.
Yes.
You know, that in and of itself is a privilege, I think.
It is.
And so I don't ever want that to escape me. And I want to be aware of that. And I mean, like, people know, I mean, I'm settled here, you know, I think, and it's funny because for years, I feel like there was this anxiety of like, when is he going to leave? When is he moving out? But I'm here, you know, at least for the foreseeable future, you know, like, and if people, and I feel like setting a precedent where like, if people would like to work with me, they've got to come to me.
Ooh, he said they have to come to him. Y'all hear that? See, I'm not playing with you. I am playing with you. Before I take questions, we're gonna play a dumb game. Let me share my screen. Hanif, this game is called Would You Rather.
Oh wow, the whole planetary system.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know why there's planets. I just don't ask you. I don't know why. Hanif.
Pizza or clapping?
Would you rather have any food that you desired at just by clapping it and then it appears? Or would you rather that or to never be stuck in traffic?
I mean, I live in Columbus, so I'm never really stuck in traffic. You know what I mean? Like, I guess I also don't leave my house a lot. So, but I feel like, yeah, I don't know, maybe like the 270 split gets a little murky, but
the 70-71 split is stupid.
Yeah, 70-71 split's bad, but it's so inconsequential to me. I would rather just be able to clap and get some vegetables, get some plums, clap for plums.
Sorry, I should have put vegetables there. We'll come to vegetables later. Would you rather have year-long Midwestern September weather?
Oh, that's the answer. Yes. I don't even care what's next, but
be able to go to Tokyo whenever you wanted to.
Oh, give me that. I mean, all respect to Tokyo and international travel broadly, but give me September in. I would like to negotiate like a September to October thing. Like I would need the leaves to start changing.
Okay, so like you're talking like, I mean October, I guess. Like September 25 to
Halloween. Give me like give me the spooky month.
Okay, good.
So give me like give me a warm up, give me a week warm up, and then the full spooky month of September whatever the fuck to October 31st, and that's what I want. I want that all the time. That's my favorite time of year in the Midwest.
It's so beautiful. That's why I asked. You know, would you rather get paid? This is a very divisive question.
Yeah.
Would you rather be paid $500,000 or be your favorite singer's backup dancer?
Oh, be my favorite singer's backup dancer. Although I don't know if I have a favorite singer now who I'd want to be a backup dancer for. But I just love the idea of that. And look at me there. Look at me with my mustache, my purple suit.
It's like a little Don Cornelius.
Yeah, that's the best I've looked in years.
I mean, there are people who are just like 100% money and then 100% dancing. I would be a dancer.
Yeah.
Second to last question. Would you rather?
Oh boy.
I'm so dumb. Would you rather live forever in perfect health, but you'd have to breathe through a Darth Vader mask after the age of 80, or be able to teleport, but only on Saturdays?
Oh, that's way better. Teleport to wherever I want?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to live forever. Let's be clear. I'm definitely not trying to live forever. I hit a point where it's like I've seen enough. Teleporting always on Saturday, and that's a great day to do it. It's a weekend.
Yeah.
I'm trying to have a good time.
Just like go to like be in Paris on a weekend. Okay, got it. Last one, and this is controversial. Would you rather eat a medium-sized bowl of pineapple that tasted like broccoli or have a Taylor Swift Drake collaboration album?
I mean, do I have to listen to the Taylor Swift Drake album?
You have to listen to it. You have to listen to it and review it, sir.
Oh, but then the review makes me trend towards the broccoli thing, only because I would listen to it, but I don't want to do labor around it. Like, I don't want to do any work around it, but I would listen to it. I'm not really into Taylor Swift, but I like some Drake. I like Drake sometimes. I'm not a big Taylor Swift fan. I have heard songs of hers I liked off of that Lover album, but I'm just not a big fan. But I'll listen to pretty much anything. But to write a review is asking labor. So give me the broccoli thing.
Okay. The weird broccoli. Awesome. Thank you for playing my game of Would You Rather. I am going to answer some audience questions now. How do you feel about that?
For sure. Yeah.
Great. Okay. I saw one that I really, yes. Can you talk about this? Why did you decide to dedicate the book to Josephine Baker?
This is not saying that Josephine Baker was a second choice, but really I couldn't bring myself to dedicate it to Toni Morrison, which is what the initial plan was. I take book dedications very seriously. And Miss Morrison, I mean, people know I'm like preaching, especially if folks in here from Ohio, I'm preaching the choir. I mean, Miss Morrison is so important to me and was important to the reformation of this book. But the spirit and the ancestor who hovers most directly over the book is Josephine Baker.
Yeah.
Not only the title is a repurposed line from a Josephine Baker speech.
A quote, yeah.
But also the spirit of celebration. You know what's wild is that on the internet, you can access 50 years worth of Josephine Baker performances. There's stuff from way back in 1925 all the way up until her final performances in the mid-70s. And so much of Josephine Baker's life is clipped and contextualized only. We get like the banana bikini Josephine Baker or the laying down with tigers Josephine Baker, and not the fullness of a life that for me feels so rich and worth celebration. And I wanted to hone in on the Josephine Baker who showed up to the March on Washington in the uniform of the French Resistance, and the Josephine Baker who in the 70s could not move as well but could still control a crowd just by speaking. You know, these kind of things. When I think about honoring the fullness of a complex but fascinating Black life, Josephine Baker is the one that really got my brain moving in the right direction. And so the spirit of Josephine Baker hovers over the book, and I think is really present. And I think I was also feeling some complications about what it is to be present in a place and love a place. And to frame that with Josephine Baker, who like got the fuck out, you know, and like was not interested in coming back.
Bye.
Was like really challenging. I felt challenged by her living. And I wanted to write something that lived up to the challenge.
There's a question that I was in one of my pictures that I skipped, and someone's asking it, so I'm going to ask it. I recently heard of your new position at BAM, and I'm curious how you start preparing for that role.
I ain't doing anything. I don't think. I'm gonna keep it real. It kind of like fell into place. I mean, to be clear, the skill set that I'm bringing to BAM is something that I just have anyway, where the thing that I'm tasked with is kind of curating live music experiences based on, in my brain, the Black future. And so the only hard thing, so I have crystals on my desk, and I always like toy with this one while I talk, and I'm afraid I'm gonna throw it. The challenging thing is that I'm plotting for a future that like is uncertain and might not exist, you know? It's hard to plot like live music experiences and kind of just think, well, like November, And then it's like, probably not, but we got to do this anyway. But there's, there are folks like More Mother who I just love, who I think like, and BAM is so good, has been so good at saying like, you have the time and resources and the space, most importantly, the space to do what you want. And then I am in turn translating that to someone like More Mother and saying, listen, I want to give you the time and space to do whatever you want. And here's what we can do, but I'm going to get out of your way. Like, here's the resources, and like, keep me posted if you want to keep me posted, but I'm gonna get out the way. And going to artists who I love, like I can't say some of the other names because it's still under wraps or still in the works, but going to folks and going to Black musicians who are not the capital B biggest names in the world, but artists who I love and am propelled by, and just saying, listen, I want to see you do something cool, and here's time and opportunity to do it, and I'm out the way, and that's it.
That's the way.
Understanding that I'm never, so much of my living now has to do with deprioritizing my own ego, and the work of BAM is just like perfect, right? Because it's like, I understand that I'm not really a vessel to tell you how to do an amazing thing, but here's some space, and I'll just move out of the way. And so that's kind of, I didn't have to prep much at BAM, but the ongoing work is the work of detaching my ego from the final product of whatever I'm obsessed with.
Do you have a big ego, Hanif?
I don't. You have to ask. You'd have to ask my exes. No. I think.
What is your self-assessment of you? I will go first. My ego is giant. Udahs are arrogant and stubborn. I come from a stubborn line of people. We are very stubborn. My friends who have like tried to talk me out of situations that I know are bad for me. Some of them are here, and they'll tell you I'm stubborn. And I'm very arrogant. And my family members, I'm like the least, this is gonna be crazy to hear, but I'm like the least arrogant of my family members. And that's because I have really been humiliated by my ego more than they have.
Yeah. And that's the thing though, right? Is that like,
just like the universe is just like, yeah. I have a big ego.
I don't think I have a big ego, but I do think that like I don't think size of ego necessarily matters as much as one's willingness to be governed by their own ego.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Because in that is, I think, where I've fallen prey to, but it's a work in progress. I think A Little Devil in America feels like a book that was so generous and so exciting because I detached so much of the work from my own ego, but it reminds me that the work of quote unquote getting better at writing or being a better writer has so much to do with the work. I attribute that as much to reading more widely as I do to like going to fucking therapy,
Yeah.
And just treating myself like a person who is open to more possibilities when it comes to figuring out how I can better love the people close to me. And it's interesting that you talk about, we were talking a bit about my friends and being in Columbus, and a large thing about I feel is guilt all the time that I just don't have the time to, and I like, pandemic aside, I mean, like, I just don't have the time to be present with my friends that I did like 2 years ago even. And thinking about the ways that I want to improve on that, in the ways that I want to reformat my life that brings me closer to something that feels like tenderness.
You use that word a lot, tenderness, and that's like, ooh.
Do I really?
Well,
I gotta get a synonym.
No, I revisited one of the conversations we had in January, and you used the word and made me, everything you say makes me think for a year and a half. So here's another question. I really like this one. It might take a while, but I think $2 radio folks, I plan on ending this at 8:30. Just want to let you guys know, because I want these folks to eat dinner, drink water, watch Netflix, connect with their children, have too many liquids, make out with someone if that's safe. Yeah, just want to let you know. Hi, I've seen y'all around town at protests and at many art and music events. What events can you point us towards coming up in town when these vaccines kick in? Some great art, music, or something important and hard. P.S. Thank you, Hanif, for showing up for the Black people in Columbus. I want to cry. This is so beautiful. You and your voice with People's Justice Project, Columbus City school students pushing to get police out of schools, and so much more. Props.
Very kind. That's really kind. Sorry.
Yeah, I know.
You know, it's for me, I think that to get to the, you know, it's funny because that was not an immensely emotional statement. It was like there's a question couch in there that was very practical. So I want to honor that. I want to honor the very practical question and say that it's important to tap in with like Be Quick and PJP and you know, Be Quick. I used to pop in at the Be Quick. I missed the Be Quick. I know they're doing them virtually, but I missed the in-person Be Quick open mic nights because I still love an open mic night. I would still pop in at, you know, a couple of them around town. And, you know, I feel like festival season is going to be so interesting whenever it revitalizes. Yeah. But community events are important. To the second thing, yesterday I spent some time talking to students at Beechcroft, where I graduated from. And I try to do that around book pub day every time because it just grounds me. Like those high school students just they don't really care about my 5th book coming out. They kind of want to be like, you know, every year, because it's a new group of seniors, they're always like, yo, you went here? You know what I mean? It's like, you came from where we came from, and you know, you like,
didn't go here.
Yeah, you know, but it's also this thing where it's like, you came from where we came from, and like I have a lot, I mean, people know this, I have a lot of love for Columbus City schools. And
yeah.
In Columbus City school teachers, I know are a couple are in here right now, just know that like, I'll drop anything. You know what I mean? Like they can hit me up anytime and I'll drop anything and prioritize being present for like, if someone at Fort Hays is like, I got a student who needs poems edited, I'm on that above anything else.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, for real, like I've flown home early from things because I really have a love. I remember being in high school, and I see so often the narratives that are projected onto Columbus City school students about what they're capable of.
Yes. And, go.
And those narratives are often projected by people who don't have any kind of full understanding about the machinery of like what's happening in these schools and how brilliant and how innovative a lot of these students are, and to show love to educate how innovative a lot of these teachers are, and what it is to survive being constantly told that you are incapable and knowing that that's not true.
Yes. Oh, I'm about to have the Holy Ghost in here.
I want to thank the person who said all that stuff. And sorry, I got a little emotional.
She's a teacher, so just know that. She's a teacher. She knows what she's talking about. We have 4 minutes. Question.
I'm not super strict on that. I'm down to answer like a few more questions.
Okay. I am. No.
Okay.
You also like, Hanif, you have big day. You've had a big day. You need to pick up your shoes. You need to work on that puzzle that you're so bad at. I didn't mean to clown you like that. What's the first show you would want to see when you can again?
It's so wild because I'm no longer romantic about live music. I think to get to the heart of this and answer it quickly so I can get to another question, I would love to see Yola. I really loved Yola's album, and I'd love to see that like live performed.
Yeah.
I would love to see a Counterfeit Madison show.
That'll happen sometime.
It's been a minute. I mean, I would love to see like a local band, honestly, like Snarls or some shit, or like Mung Bean or whatever,
Yeah.
I'm trying to see like a local, some local shit.
That's beautiful. Hanif, you've inspired me. I want to get into the plum game. Should I use them in a specific recipe?
I'm too early in the game. I can't speak with any expertise. I tweeted about plums yesterday and it had a moment, like everyone retweeted it. And then I started getting all these plum galette recipes and these like plum cake recipes. I'm gonna keep it real. I'm not doing any of them. But mostly because I'm not eating cake right now. I'm in an anti-cake state.
Okay.
But I did shout out to who did this. Someone sent me like that they sliced the plums and like put them in a jar with a little bit of honey and something else and just let them soak. And I did that last night and I'm gonna have some of those later. I'm opening myself up to plums.
Open yourself up to plums. I should write a song about that. I would love to circle back and do a live react to Hanif watching Lil Nas X's music video. I would love to do that too.
I'm gonna watch it tonight. I'll watch it tonight.
There's so many great questions. 2 minutes. This is not going to take 2 minutes, but this will be the last question. How did your research, I don't know. How did your research process for this book unfold? Did you start at a certain time and point in time of study, or did you start with a subject?
I think it was such a visual experience, whereas so much of my other research processes, the text sent me to the visual. But here it was so visual driven and the visuals drove me to the text. And I mean, what's funny is I feel like all of my books get a narrative attached to them. Like They Can't Kill Us Until They Kill Us is like, I heard he wrote that book in 2 weeks, locked away in Provincetown, which is like only half true. And then, like Fortune, of course, has a massive narrative attached to it. And I feel like this book is becoming the Soul Train hard drive book. But the thing that most people have talked about is that I got this hard drive of Soul Train performances from the 70s all the way through the 80s. Which a funny thing, and I know I'm doing a bunch of asides, but a funny thing is that Questlove also had a Soul Train hard drive that he lost. And I've had to recently in an interview, I had to clarify, like, my hard drive is not the one that Questlove, or at least I heard rumors were that he lost it. And I had to clarify. And then the interview came out today and I read the text and I was like, holy shit, this looks like I actually did steal his hard drive. And I'm being like, sarcastic about it. But to clarify for the people watching, I did not steal that hard drive. But sinking into the visuals of what I was writing about allowed me to bring myself a little closer to wanting. I think this is the book where I learned how to write a scene that makes people want to be present in it.
Yes.
And I don't think I think that people, I get that people believe that I had done that before, and I believe that I've maybe done that before, and I appreciate all that. But I think this is a book where I really learned how to do it because I spent so much time watching. You really leveled up,
sir. You leveled up. You really did. Like this book is a.
Well, I spent so much time like watching things, and I spent so much time being overwhelmed by what I was watching that I needed to put it in the language that So all this is a mode of selfishness because I was seeing things so spectacular that I had to seek out language. I had to like feel around in the dark to find the language for them. And in that feeling around the dark, I found a light switch that when turned on made the entire scene. I mean, the room was the scene. I like rebuilt the scene through the feeling around. And so, I mean, there's that part of the Soul Train essay where I kind of talk about watching Soul Train lines with my friends, where it's like, I feel like my hope is that people are in the space with us. People are also on the phone with us, watching with anticipation. And so I do think I learned a lot. I learned how to, I learned how to write when considering time spent in the visual world and considering how eager I am to show people what I've witnessed. That's exciting. And I hope that comes through. I sincerely hope that comes through in the book.
Hanif, Hanif, do you have a car? Do you own a car?
I do. I'm not in it a lot these days, but I do own it.
Hanif, I hope you don't have car trouble inconveniently. I hope every water you drink is sparkling and nourishing. I hope that every sunrise you see is warming. I hope that if you are having a difficult day, that you can see the light at the end of it. I hope your heart stays healthy. I hope your love of vegetables flourish. I hope you sleep well. To everyone watching this, a blessing. I hope you can get vaccinated and that you can soon touch the people that you love. I hope the same thing about the water to you. I hope that you can find the time to read this book. Ladies, gentlemen, people, aliens, whoever's in this room, I swear this book will change your life, okay? I really need you to read this book and you will come away with you'll Google some things, you'll Google a lot because I learned a lot. You will come away blessed. And I want to thank you for using your gift. I hate to sound so preachery, but I really want to thank you for using your gift, Hanif. You are a gift to the world. You are a prince. You are a breeze. You are a San Diego breeze, sir. You like the perfect kind where you wear the windbreaker. I'm gonna stop talking.
Real quick, I just want to say thank you to you, Sharon, and thank you to everyone tuning in. I especially, to the city today. It was really, I have not witnessed a response to a book of mine in the city like this ever. And to, thanks to Tula Radio and the Book Loft and Gramercy and Prologue and all the shops, and I know that a lot of places sold out of copies, and hopefully by the end of the week I'll get some more signed ones.
I hope you keep selling out. I hope you keep selling out because this book needs to be read.
Yeah, it means a lot. And I know I talk a lot about how much I love Columbus, but so often my love for Columbus gets presented as this like abstract and untouchable thing to the people who don't live here. But I hope the people who live here are very aware of it and very, it's a very real thing that I'm very grateful for. And I hope to never take this place for granted. And it's always special to be able to kick off a book by doing something tied to Columbus. So thank you all.
Yeah. I love y'all. I think I do. Eric, $2 radio. Do we end it? Do we leave? Do we